Amber Heard is back, but this time she's spinning a new narrative claiming she's officially lost her voice after her trial with Johnny Depp. On January 24th, 2026, the world got its first look at the new documentary Silence at the Sundance Film Festival, and it features a rare, highly publicized appearance from Amber herself. In the film, a 39-year-old Amber Heard, who has been living a quiet life in Spain with her 3 kids, delivers a quote that has immediately gone viral on social media. She tells us, "I have lost my ability to speak. I am not here to tell my story. I don't want to tell my story. In fact, I don't want to use my voice anymore. That's the problem." Quite the dramatic statement indeed. It's most likely intended to frame her as the ultimate victim of a broken legal system. But honestly, for many who followed the 2022 trial, this silence doesn't feel like a tragedy. Can't we all agree it's more like a consequence? The documentary, directed by Selena Miles, attempts to paint Amber as a martyr for the Me Too era, claiming that defamation laws are being weaponized to punish women. Amber even admits in the film that she, quote, "didn't understand it could get so much worse for me as a woman using my voice." But here's the reality check. Amber obviously isn't silenced because of her gender. She's silenced because a jury of her peers found her story to be fundamentally false. Is Amber Heard actually a victim of said legal tactics, or is she finally facing the deafening reality that when you lose your credibility in a court of law, you lose your audience? Today, we're going to attempt to peel back the layers of this new victim narrative and look at why the public's revulsion isn't hate. More like this woman is somehow forgetting that she tried to falsely accuse a man and ruin his life. And to help everyone understand why Amber Heard is now making these dramatic claims in 2026, we'll take a look back at the moment she actually lost everyone's trust. For those who need a refresher, this all started with a 2018 Washington Post op-ed where Amber described herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. Even though she didn't name Johnny Depp, the implication was easy to figure out, and the fallout for Depp was immediate, leading to him being dropped from massive franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean and Fantastic Beasts. Then in 2022, when the Virginia trial finally pulled back the curtain, turns out it wasn't just a he said, she said kind of drama. It was a total dismantling of a BS narrative. The jury did more than just rule against her, they also found that her statements were made with actual malice. In legal terms, that means they believed she either knew what she was saying was false or acted with a reckless disregard for the truth. Why did they reach that conclusion? Because the evidence provided a very different story than the one Amber was telling. We saw 1. Recordings where Amber was heard admitting to hitting Johnny, even mocking him, saying, quote, "Tell the world, Johnny. See how many people believe or side with you."
I had a mineral can of mineral spirits thrown at my nose.
You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge think. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp, man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence, and
yes.
It's a fair fight. And see how many people believe or side with you.
2. The donated versus pledged debacle, meaning it was revealed that she had not actually donated her $7 million divorce settlement to charity, as she had repeatedly claimed in the media. She had pledged it, but the money hadn't been paid, a distinction that made her look like she was using philanthropy as a PR shield. And 3. The photos. Digital forensic experts testified that some of her bruise photos appeared to have been edited or manipulated, casting doubt on the physical evidence she presented. The 2022 verdict was far from an attempt to silence women. It was a jury of 7 ordinary people deciding that Amber Heard had fundamentally misrepresented the facts. In this new documentary of hers, she frames her current situation as a failure of the system, but the history shows it was a failure of her own making. You can't claim you've lost your ability to speak when the world simply stopped believing the stories coming out of your mouth. In the documentary Silence, Amber Heard and her lawyer, Jennifer Robinson, lean heavily into a very specific argument that the legal system is being used as a tool of oppression. Oh no. Robinson, who has been a longtime ally of Amber since the UK libel trial, argues in the film that defamation laws are being weaponized to punish women who dare to speak out about gender-based violence. Amber echoes this sentiment, looking visibly exhausted as she tells the camera that she simply didn't know why things got so bad for her as a woman. The documentary frames the 2022 trial as an avalanche of backlash meant to stifle free speech, but it conveniently ignores one massive detail. Amber Heard was the one who initiated the public narrative. She didn't just speak her truth in private, She wrote a globally syndicated op-ed in the Washington Post specifically timed to the release of her biggest movie, Aquaman. She used her voice as a sword, not just a shield. When she talks about weaponization, she's referring to the fact that Johnny Depp used the law to defend his reputation. But the defense's argument is simple. If the story you tell is true, defamation laws can't touch you. The weapon only works if the claims are proven false. By claiming she's being punished for speaking, she is essentially asking for a world where a person can make life-altering accusations without ever having to back them up with credible evidence in court. Trying to have your cake and eat it there, Amber? In 2026, folks are seeing right through this. They aren't seeing a woman silenced by a system. They aren't seeing a victim who the system did wrong. They're seeing a woman who is frustrated that she can no longer use the media to bypass the judicial process, try as she might. Since relocating to Spain nearly 2 years ago, Amber has been attempting to build a brand new identity, far from the Hollywood spotlight. In the January 2026 documentary, we see glimpses of her life as a mother, which has significantly expanded. While the world knew about her daughter Uno Page, Amber revealed in May 2025 that she had welcomed twins, a daughter named Agnes and a son named Ocean. Amber frames this quiet life in Spain as a forced exile, a result of being cast out by a misogynistic industry. But if we allow accountability to step back in, it suggests a different reality. Amber isn't in Spain because she was forced into exile. She's there because the American market has become largely unreceptive to her brand. Despite a brief return to the stage at the Williamstown Theater Festival in July 2025, her professional resurgence has been stagnant compared to her ex-husband's. The contrast is deliciously staggering. While Amber uses silence to complain about her lost voice, Johnny Depp is experiencing a full-scale career renaissance. In the last year, he signed a record-breaking $20 million plus deal with Dior, directed the film Modi starring Al Pacino, and has been welcomed back to major international stages like Cannes. The documentary Silence feels less like a human rights statement and more like a PR Hail Mary. By appearing at Sundance and leaning into the victim of weaponized law narrative, Amber is attempting to reclaim the moral high ground before the public moves on for good. But as many have pointed out, you can't come back from a loss of credibility by simply changing the scenery and calling it an exile. Johnny Depp didn't get his career back because of a PR move, Amber. He got it back because he let the evidence speak in a courtroom. Amber Heard, meanwhile, is still trying to use a film to tell the story a jury already rejected. Here is the ultimate point of the accountability argument. You cannot lose a voice that you use to spread documented misinformation by all means. She can still fully express herself, but she has to realize she has a lot to do before people decide to take what she has to say seriously. In the January 2026 documentary Silenced, Amber frames her reluctance to speak as a tragedy, but everyone sees it as a natural consequence of her story. The unfortunate thing about Amber Heard is that her recent statements make her come across as someone who doesn't actually care about subjects like domestic violence or misogyny. You don't get to spend years in the spotlight as a representative of domestic abuse and then claim you're silenced the moment you're held accountable for the truth of those statements. It only further shows how willing she is to take advantage of such serious experiences that people go through to simply get her way, which is honestly disgusting. As Megyn Kelly recently pointed out regarding the Blake Lively situation from our recent video, there is a genuine revulsion that happens when people feel they've been manipulated by such a toxic strategy or a fabricated victimhood. Amber's participation in the documentary tries to restart the engine of that narrative, but it's hard to sell a story of being victimhood when you're literally the star of a new film at the Sundance Film Festival. In the end, Amber Heard hasn't lost her ability to speak. She's just lost the public's willingness to listen. Ultimately, is there any way back for Amber Heard? She claims the system has taken away her ability to tell her story, but as we've seen, the public's memory of the 2022 Virginia trial is long, and the evidence, from those damning audio recordings to the verdict, is still just a click away. Now, we want to hear from y'all. Is it possible for Amber Heard to actually have a career comeback if she just dropped the victim narrative? Imagine a world where she stopped fabricating accusations or blaming the system and instead took a path of radical honesty, admitting to the mistakes, the manipulations, and the documented facts of the trial. Could the public ever forgive her if she pivoted from fake victim to accountable actor? Or has the door to Hollywood officially slammed shut for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you're still here, we appreciate you for making it this far. Go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Till the next one,